When did you first feel rejected or abandoned? Hi, my name is Dr. Catalina, and I'm a clinical psychologist. So today I want us to talk about, really begin to look at when were we first rejected. Oftentimes, unfortunately, some of the first, our basic needs weren't met when we were kids. If this resonates with you, again, this is not everyone's story, but one common pathway to rejection is often that during childhood, someone, the caregiver, typically the parents or the caregiver's older sisters, they didn't show up and they didn't take care of you the way they were supposed to. So I just saw some dolphins out here, and it always reminds me that we didn't come out as dolphins. We don't come out from birth and immediately are able to swim and be on our own. We really do actually need to be taken care of. We need to be fed. We need to be loved. We need to be connected. We need to have our basic needs provided for us. And we actually need to learn how to take care of ourselves because we don't intrinsically know how to do that. So, unfortunately, though, growing up, particularly if oftentimes the experiences of abandonment happened when we didn't even have a voice and we didn't know what was going on, but most importantly, we couldn't emotionally digest them. So as adults, oftentimes when we feel rejected, we don't actually really think, where did this come from? We just know that feeling, we react to it, and that reaction becomes our MO. It becomes our go-to of how we're actually going to react and how our body is just naturally trying to protect itself. So I want you to begin to look at, where do you think this all started? I was raised very cognitive behaviorally in my grad school, and so yes, of course, I learned about psychoanalysis and family systems, but we didn't really do a lot of focus on looking too much there, because the focus was on, okay, what's the problem, what's the thought now, and how do you deal with that? But unfortunately, what we find is that now it's become more acceptable. There's been more evidence really looking at attachment theories and looking at how these stories that we come up with in our head actually develop what we call schemas. And they basically give us the lens, they frame the lens at which we view ourselves and our lives. So, for example, one schema may be, oh, men will always leave me. And for me personally, that was my schema. I experienced a lot of abandonment growing up, or fear of that. My family was super tight, but, I often got scared that maybe my dad would leave. And to me, that mantra, that schema, just was the norm. And again, I've studied this, I've researched it, I've taught it, I work with clients on it, and yet my appreciation for how deep that automatic belief, or that core belief that men won't ever stick around, absolutely gets triggered when I feel rejected. And I say all of that because really to normalize the fact of how much embedded these beliefs are in every single cell of our bodies, so that when we feel rejected, again, whether it be from work or a loved one, a friend, whoever it is, that triggers these deep, deep, deep core beliefs. And then next thing you know, we just react. And again, all of those reactions just become who we are and who we think we are, because they become so automatic. So what I really want to encourage you to do is actually take some time to think about, where were you first rejected? Where did this start? And start to give voice to it, because again, these stories are happening all the time in your head. They guide our assumptions, they guide our interactions, they guide how we see ourselves, they guide everything. This is the lens of our story, is through these lenses. So start thinking about, where did this actually start? You know, what happened? And one thing I notice is that oftentimes, if you feel like you've had been privileged, even though you worked your ass off to do that, that sometimes it can actually be really hard to look at some of those early wounds, because you do feel privileged and you do feel like, well, you did have a family and other people have had it much worse. So, you know, try to put away the judgment. Try to actually just take a moment to say, okay, when did I actually first start feeling rejected? Start to look at some of those memories and just notice them. Just notice them. You don't need to necessarily invest too much in them, but just begin to notice them. See what comes up. Anyways, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what to do with them when you notice them. All right? Hope that helps. Talk to you guys soon. Feel free to follow me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and send me any questions or comments. Cheers.